Hello and welcome back to Goblin Literature. This is a series where we talk about long fantasy series, and we do like a read-along format. It's a little chaotic, but it gives us the opportunity to talk about these series as we go because everyone reads at a different pace, and it's annoying when you don't have someone to talk to about your books. My name is Megan. This is episode 3. Today we're going to be discussing Zodiac Academy, The Awakening, which is book 1 of the Zodiac Academy, chapters 17 through the end of the book. Things kind of popped off at the end of the book. So let's get into it. I'm going to try to do a little more structured format. I know this is like goblins, chaos, excitement. But when I watched my videos back, I thought maybe it would be helpful to have a little more structure so that I don't sound quite so insane. So let's dive into the top plot points of the last few chapters of the book. We start off with Max getting the girls to admit to their deepest fears, which was interesting. We find out that Astrum is falling star. Did not see that coming. We find out a little bit more about the girls' parents and their, like, the lead up to their death. That the nymphs got into the palace, but Astrum doesn't think that they could get into the palace by themselves. He thinks Darius and Orion maybe had something to do with it. Then we go to the dance. These are just like the top plot points because you read it, so I'm not gonna like go every single detail. We're just hitting on the top ones. We go to the dance. Orion's acting weird. Darcy gets her hair cut off by Seth, and then Tory gets kind of dragged to the pool by Darius, which is a little bit rude behavior. And then Orion kind of comes in and saves the day when Tory's kind of like drowning under the ice, and the heirs are like low-key trying to murder her, which is rude. And then Astrum's murdered. We literally just met this guy. I mean, we met him before, but like we just found out he was falling star, and then boom, killed. Kind of aggressive. And then he's got like the death tarot card, which is like spooky vibes. And then something that stuck out to me, Diego says he's only ever seen dragon fire burn like that around like Astrum's body. His like charred body. So like I feel like things happen really fast at the end of the book. I kind of zoomed through it. It was exciting. There are some, I'm gonna do cold takes and hot takes. Cold takes will be things that are like obvious, like not that hot of a take. Things that are obvious or like kind of lame. And then hot takes will be like hot takes, exciting, things that maybe make me sound like a crazy person. So, cold takes. I thought that the girls' biggest fears were lame. Like, I felt like they were like foreshadowing some like insane, crazy thing for the whole beginning of the book. They were just like so dramatic. Oh, my hair is dyed blue because like I'm sad about this secret thing that happened to me. Blah. But like, I mean, okay, so, like, because her hair was dyed blue, I thought that, like, Darcy's, like, secret sad thing was going to be, like, really dramatic, and it was just, like, a boy, like, made hurt her feelings, which, like, yeah, that's sad, but, like, who hasn't had their feelings hurt, okay? Like, welcome to capitalism. So I thought that was kind of lame. And then Tory's like fear was more serious, but she wasn't super dramatic about it. She like almost died drowning. That like is really that's like not fun. I wouldn't recommend it. This like doesn't seem like a good time. But also like Darcy, I guess maybe is more sensitive than Tory, so maybe that's why she's so freaking dramatic about it. But I thought that was bleh. I was like not really super impressed with that. But I was impressed about the way they like got it out of them with like Max's like super siren powers, which I feel like are kind of, I kind of hate the siren powers because like they're just, I feel like everyone's always being such a creep. All the sirens are just being like creepy, slimy dudes. Another cold take is that before this, Sophia was like suspiciously super drunk, and she says someone put something in her drink. I feel like someone did put something in her drink. That was really weird. So that's like a cold take because she literally says it. So like, it's not that surprising. And then another cold take, I feel like they've been kind of getting at this for a minute now. Is it like, I feel like Orion obviously is kind of like has a thing for Darcy. He's always being like handsy. He's like not wanting her to make out with Seth, and he's like, oh, because he's a scumbag, but like also because I think that you maybe want to make out with Darcy, like obviously. So I feel like those are things that are kind of obviously going on. Sometimes they make you think things that aren't true, so maybe some of those things are wrong. If you think some of my cold takes are wrong, if you have a hot take about a cold take, let me know. Hot take, so this rattling noise that we heard in like chapter 15 or 16, so like the last video, I assume that nymphs make that noise. Like, it sounds like the girls were almost attacked by a nymph, and then Geraldine got attacked by a nymph, and she's in the infirmary, and then she gets out of the infirmary to go to the dance. Like, interesting. Another, like, these are like more medium takes. I don't really have like a super hot take yet because I feel like there's not enough going on. So I don't think Orion's bad. He acts super bad. I think he's one of these dudes that's just complicated. And I think some of the other heirs are like that too. Maybe Caleb. Maybe like Max. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I feel like some of them seem to have more of a moral compass than others. So we'll see how that kind of pans out. I'm very interested about that. The other thing that is kind of going on is this tarot card. Astrum and his weird tarot cards. So there's the death card, right? And that's like flies out of his body or whatever. That was like really kind of weird. And at the end it says like, don't trust the flames, and then he's like burned by flames. And then like, what does he mean by flames? Like, is he talking about like the dragons, right? Like, dragons have flames. I don't know. I feel like that's too obvious. I don't know how he got killed. I feel like the thing that Diego says of like, he's only ever seen dragon fire burn like that, I feel like that's just misleading us. Obviously the enemy is the nymphs, so I would assume that like the bad stuff that's going on is the nymphs, but it's definitely hard to say so far. Something overall that's kind of maybe a hot take on this whole book in general is that like, this was an entire book and they've gotten through like a couple weeks of school. Like, it's very slow, like the time progression. There's stuff going on, but it's really weird that the time progression is so slow. Like, if you look at other similar books, I hate to bring it back to Harry Potter, but this is also like an academic, like Harry Potter was like 1 year per book. This is like 2 weeks per book. Like, it's like confusing me because it's like, you'll get like 100 pages in and it'll be like, oh, it's been like a day. Like, a lot of stuff is going on like in this short amount of time. It's making it a little bit confusing for me to follow the timeline. So let me know if you are also having that experience. I'm starting to get a little bit onto Zodiac Academy like TikTok, which is concerning because I'm afraid I'm gonna see spoilers. I haven't searched Zodiac Academy, but you know, like the algorithm just like knows what I'm doing somehow. And people are like flying through these first few books. I did not fly through this book. So maybe that's why it's kind of, I feel like, slow. Because the time's going by so slowly. But like stuff is happening. That's the part that's like throwing me a little bit off. So let me know what you think about that, because it's definitely making me confused and I'm having like a hard time keeping up. I'm getting a little better with like who's who, mostly because I read the whole book. And then before I do the video, I go back and kind of like reskim it and take notes. So that's helping me keep up. But if I wasn't doing that, I would still be super confused about who everyone is. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's common in fantasy books. I don't want to like hate on these books because they get good reviews and people like them. But there's definitely, it's like maybe like a Bravo show where it's like, this isn't like a masterpiece, but like people love it. That's kind of what I'm starting to get from these books. It's like, this isn't a masterpiece, but it's like a good time. So people are like having fun, even though it's like Love Island. It's not intellectual, but it's fun. So now that we've gone over cold takes, hot takes, the top plot points, we need to figure out what's coming. I mean, do we need to figure it out? Probably not. Some people are just here for vibes. Sometimes I am just here for vibes, and I'm not trying to figure anything out. It's not a mystery. I'm not Nancy Drew. But for the purposes of this series, I think there are some outstanding questions we should probably discuss. The book ends right after the girls are, like, violently assaulted by the heirs. Sus. How are they going to handle that? Like, I feel like they're like bad bitches. So I feel like they're going to rally. They're going to rally. But like they really got them good. So that's a concern, obviously. How are the heirs going to act? Like they're just out here like being horrible human beings, and then these people just all have to go to class together afterwards. Like, is there going to be like counseling offered? Like, Astrum's out here dying, the girls are getting assaulted, the heirs are, I mean, Orion kind of like came in and saved the day and like gave them all detention for like a minute, like, bleh. And they're all just gonna like go back to, like, is there gonna be like emergency counseling services? That's a question we must ask. What's going on with Orion? Like, that's up next. Does he like Darcy? I feel like yes. Like I said, that's a cold take. Like I feel like that's not like a masterpiece of sleuthing that I just stumbled upon. I feel like they're just throwing it in our faces that he totally has a crush on Darcy. And it's inappropriate, but it sounds like he's not like old and she's like of age, so I'm not against it. How are we gonna find out what Astrum knew? Like, this dude sucks. He literally was like sending them creepy messages and all kinds of crazy shit, and then gets killed like some sort of asshole. Like, why is he getting killed? So like, what are you doing? Obviously figure it out. I can't imagine he's the only like sympathizer. Also, what's going on with people sympathizing with the twins? Their dad sounds horrible, and all these people are just like trying to get on board with the Savage King. Why would you want, like, that's weird. That's super weird. Yikes. The girls are cool. I could totally be on board with them. They seem cool. I'd let them rule the kingdom. I don't care. Their dad, horrible person. So why are all of these people like totally like sympathizers to the Savage King? He's literally called the Savage King. Like, what are we doing out here? That's really strange to me, personally. That's kind of a hot take. The Savage King sounds horrible, so why does he have this like weird cult following? And all these people that like want his kids to be in power. It would be one thing if they like saw Darcy and Tory and were like, oh, these people seem reasonable, right? Like, I could get into this. The heirs suck. These other people in the council suck. Okay, like, no, they don't care. they're like, this total jerk, the Savage King, sold. Okay. Really weird. So, interested about that. Are there other people like Astrum? Like, Astrum obviously is like leaving weird clues with his weird tarot deck that was their mother's, that like magically returns to them with these sketchy notes of don't trust the flames and like whatever the hell that means. The shadows are upon me, whatever. First of all, I would assume the shadows are like the nymphs, but the nymphs aren't shadows. It doesn't sound like. Maybe they're in the shadows, but they aren't made out of shadow. So like, is the shadows the nymphs, or is this back to like what Astrum was saying of like someone was helping them? And is there an order with like shadow powers? I don't think so. So that's outstanding. The big question that keeps coming up is like, what order are Tory and Darcy? I have no idea. I feel like there would have been some hints by now. I feel like we have to find out any minute. Everyone's orders have emerged. You would think we would be finding out. But the only hint that I've noticed is that they say that Darcy, so right after the little club incident where they're all like kind of all over each other and everything's fine, and then literally like 10 chapters later they get assaulted and almost killed by the same dudes. Don't get me started on that. Orion drains Darcy of like all her power because he's like used up a bunch of his power saving Geraldine. Cool. Darcy's power gets replenished, but she doesn't know how. That's the only clue we have. So, I mean, that rules out something like so whatever's replenishing their power has to be something that they do just normally. So it can't be like dragons with their gold hoard, or like flying through the clouds, or like whatever. It can't be something like really weird. It can't be like something that they'd have to go out of their way to do. So it would have to be something like a werewolf getting like replenished by the moon. Like they're probably just out by the moon, right? Like they could be like, I don't think they're werewolves, but like that just kind of would happen automatically. It can't be like a vampire because they're not like out here drinking people's blood. Like they would have noticed that. So it's gotta be something that just happens naturally. She doesn't know when it got replenished. Super helpful, Darcy. Thanks for that. That's the only thing I can deduce from that information. I feel like we've got some really obvious things, and then we've got some things that have absolutely no clue. We don't have any like middle ground going on of like things that a really smart person could figure out, or someone who's like taking notes like me could figure out, like maybe I could figure something out here. No, we've got like things that are super obvious, and we've got things that we have no idea about. That's where I'm at. So I'm hoping things kind of pick up in the next book. Ruthless Fae, I think, is the next one. And I would love to hear your hot takes, cold takes, what you think is up next. Maybe you have a theory about the order that the girls are. I would assume they're the same order. That's the only thing I have a real hot take about. I assume that whatever order they are is the same as each other. It would be really wild if they were not the same as each other. But interesting. Since this is like romantasy, like I feel like the Darcy Orion thing is kind of obvious. Obviously, like there's something going on with Tory and Caleb. Is that going to keep going on after he like literally assaulted them? Kind of weird. Would be problematic, but we'll see. Otherwise, those are all of my thoughts for the end of book 1. I would love to hear your thoughts, opinions. If you disagree with something I'm saying, would love to discuss it. Leave a comment, or I I mean, message me or whatever. I don't care. And then if you want to keep up on this journey, subscribe and you will get notified about the new videos I post. And we can continue reading the Zodiac Academy together. And I hope to see you soon.